welcome to Where in the Sports World. I'm Travis Eldridge. This is the show where we take you around the world to catch up with American athletes playing overseas. On this episode, we're headed back to Japan to talk with former Major League pitcher Reed Garrett. He's currently working as a relief pitcher for the Seibu Lions playing in Japan's Pacific League. The native of Richmond, Virginia, Garrett went on to play his college baseball at VMI before getting picked by the Texas Rangers in the 16th round of the 2014 MLB draft, eventually working his way through the minors to make that big league debut in Major League Baseball in March of 2019. Here on this show, on Where in the Sports World, we'll catch up with Reed about that unique baseball journey, how it has now taken him to Japan. He shares some minor league baseball stories, what it's like now pitching in the Pacific League, and he also talks about how he transitioned from being a starter originally in his professional career to making a transition to full-time relief pitcher. We're going across the Pacific right now with current Seibu Lion, Reed Garrett.
Reed, where in the sports world are you right now?
I am in Tokorozawa, Japan, playing for the Seibu Lions.
And so your journey to Japan is obviously interesting for any American. Just your first year in Japan, walk me through kind of just like what it's like just as a regular person, not even as a baseball player, as a regular person.
Yeah. Oh, man. Obviously, this year's been kind of crazy for everybody. So my situation is kind of a little bit different, too. So my wife and I had our first son on January 29th. I left on February 2nd. I got to Japan on February 4th because I skipped a day on the way out here. So from February 4th until today's the 24th, so about 8 months I've been here, and it's been great. Like, as a person, the culture's amazing. Everything that I've been able to be around has been great. Team is great. The coaching staff here has been very, very accommodating and very, very helpful for me. A translator has been great. Yeah, so we obviously a little bit different because this year we started up and we were all ready to go in March, and then coronavirus happened. We shut down for 2 months, and then we've been playing 6 games a week ever since. So from July, for end of June till now. So we've been getting after it for sure.
What's the most difficult thing about the transition? Is it the language? Because like we're so used to players coming from the Pacific League or the MPB over to Major League Baseball and having to deal with that. Like, is that one of the most difficult things for you?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, coming up throughout my entire career, it's been mostly guys who speak English, or like 60% English, 40% Spanish, and like you pick up some Spanish along the way and you learn how to communicate with the Latin American guys that way. But obviously this is a language and a culture that I was completely knew really nothing about. But our interpreters and the translators that we have here do an amazing job of keeping us in the loop and keeping us in tune of everything that's going on, for sure.
What's been the most? Have you had a chance to get a chance to enjoy being in Japan throughout your time yet, or has it been just a whirlwind?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously I enjoy it. Like, it's cool to be able to, the traveling that we've done from spring training. We got to see some kind of the countryside of Japan. And then obviously being in where I live at is right near Tokyo. So it's I've gotten to see the 2 different sides of it. And it's incredible for sure. Food's been great. I got really no complaints about it, for sure.
It's good stuff. So let's walk people through who may not be familiar with your whole story and how you've gotten to where you are. You grew up right around Richmond, Virginia, and you grow up playing there before you go to VMI. And I wondered if you knew, did you know that Saitama, Japan, where you are now, is actually a sister city to Richmond, Virginia?
No, I did not know that. That's
I thought was very interesting and very fitting to where you are, and it's
Really?
centered around exchange students and bringing baseball teams over to the United States.
That's awesome. I had no idea. That's a cool fact to bring home with me.
So growing up in Richmond, Virginia, the dream is obviously to play Major League Baseball. Like, but how realistic is that dream when you're coming up through high school and getting ready to go to college?
You, that's obviously like you said, the dream is everybody who's played at least at some point in their time of playing baseball. They know that like that's something that they want to do throughout throughout your career. Either it diminishes or you pick up on it and it drives you. For me, I didn't really. I was I was definitely under recruited in college. Like didn't have very many offers to go play anywhere. I kind of got discovered by accident by Coach Ike at VMI. He was coming to watch somebody else at one of our American Legion summer ball games, and I was playing right field, and we were doing infield outfield, and our coach hit one over my head, and I was like, man, this is infield outfield. It kind of made me mad, and I like picked it up and threw it as hard as I could on the line to third base. And like a week later, the recruiting period started, and the first call that I had was from Ike. But yeah, so and then my senior year of high school, I didn't really play that much for the first couple of weeks. I don't know what it was, but I ended up having a really good year that year. Kind of carried that into VMI and went through some ups and downs there. Had a great start to my career in college. My sophomore year wasn't very good, but my junior year, it was when I kind of knew that I had the ability and started getting a little bit of talks from some people. So, but I mean, even still then, the grind through the minor leagues, it's not easy, and it definitely kind of weeds some people out for sure.
So you mentioned junior year. What is it that clicks about it where you realize oh, I go from being a college baseball player to a guy that I think I could do this for a living?
Yeah. I kind of I played summer ball after my sophomore year. My sophomore year was rough. I was bouncing back and forth from being a starter to a reliever, and I just never really got into a rhythm. And then that summer I went and played in the Valley League for the Newmarket Rebels. And I was a starter. I knew when I was pitching, and I just was able to focus on what I needed to work on. And I was able to just kind of find some stuff and find some confidence that I knew I had. And then kind of just progress forward. And that carried me into my junior year.
So you get drafted in the 16th round by the Texas Rangers. Obviously, that's not like NFL draft, first round you're watching on TV. That's way down the list. How do you find out you're drafted?
So I was in the West Coast League playing summer ball for the Yakima Valley Pippins. It was a brand new team that summer. I had a job with one of my buddies who I was at school with. We were just trying to make some money because, obviously being on the West Coast, it was needed some way to buy food and stuff like that. But we were actually cleaning up the stadium after home games. We were picking up trash and mopping the stadium and stuff. And we were getting ready to go to work, and I had gotten a phone call from the Nationals the night before saying hey, if you're around, we're probably going to pick you. I hadn't talked to the Rangers much. And then all of a sudden at 9 o'clock in the morning, John George, the scout who drafted me, called me and said, hey, we just took you in the 16th round. Be around your phone. We're going to get in touch with you here soon. So it was kind of weird because my parents were back on the East Coast and I was in Washington State. So they ended up packing up and that night and flying out the next day, and we were working through it from there.
And so then just a whirlwind before you kind of figure out where you're going?
Yeah, so I actually ended up making one more start while we were like negotiating or whatever. I made two starts there. So my first one was at home, and then we were in Corvallis, Oregon, playing one of the teams there. And I ended up signing like the next day after my start, and I flew from Corvallis to Spokane and went from there.
So throughout the minor leagues, you're a starter, and that like is kind of what you're trying to hang your hat on. What was the process going to becoming a starting pitcher to reliever?
Ooh, so I was a starter 2014, 15, 2016, and then at the beginning of 2017, I made like 4 starts in Double A. Second year repeating Double A, and I just I don't know what it was. I could get through the first or second time through the lineup as a starter, and then the third time was always a struggle. So I just ended up getting moved to a reliever at the beginning of May, I think it was. And I ended up just kind of like pitching some 1 or 2, like some 2-inning relief appearances once or twice a week. And then I ended up getting moved to like being a late inning reliever at the end of the year in 2017. Once I kind of settled into that role, I was able to kind of like know when I was in a pitch and start mentally preparing, which I liked because I was able to have to come to the field every day and say, all right, I might pitch tonight no matter what. Like as a starter, you get once every 5th day. And it's like, if you have a good start, your next 4 days are great. If you have a bad start, your next 4 days, you're like, all right, what am I going to do? How am I going to fix this? How am I going to figure it out? So it was, at first it was kind of something that I wasn't too sure of. But definitely one of the better moves that was made in my career from my career trajectory.
We don't see, I mean, like it happens to some guys, and then like in the playoffs, you see starters that make the move, especially in Major League Baseball, but you don't see it that often. Like, how different is the mentality of being a reliever, knowing you're going to get a call to the bullpen maybe a few minutes before you come in, and it's like game on, you're inheriting maybe a couple of runners on possibly in a tough situation. Like, how different is that mentality?
So for me, my mindset as a starter was like, I'm trying to go 5 or 6 innings, whatever, trying to conserve energy. But the way that I have approached being a reliever, I know that maybe I'll go 2 innings max. So I have 2 innings to give everything that I have on that given night. And once you kind of start figuring out what your role is, you can start like watching the game and figuring out like okay, so there's a guy in second, it's 7th inning, we're up by 2 or 3. I probably need to start locking it in. I got to start paying attention, start going through my routine, warming up, getting ready, doing all that. So for me, like no matter what, every game in the minor leagues, ever since I was in the bullpen, I pitched the 8th, 9th inning, but I was like out there watching the starting pitcher warm up. I don't know what it was. Like I was able just to get out there and that was my calm place. That was my place where I just kind of sat back and relaxed and started kind of mentally preparing to pitch that night.
So you eventually got to I'm guessing the high point of your professional baseball career as a reliever. You make the opening day roster for the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah.
Big league debut, your first appearance. What are the emotions?
Man, it was that whole series was wild. So I ended up, they told me I made the roster. We flew to Toronto. We had a practice day the day before, and then like opening day, it was a 7:00 game. I think we got there at like 11. From like 11:15 to like 12 o'clock, I sat in the dugout by myself and was just like, wow, this is crazy. This is crazy. I didn't end up pitching that night. I ended up pitching, I think it was either the second night or the third night. And I can remember it felt like I warmed up for like 2 hours. I probably threw 40 pitches in the bullpen trying to get ready. It was a longer inning, and I just kept going. I don't know what it was, but one of the veteran guys, Shane Green, came up to me and was like, "Hey man, here's some water. You got some time, relax." So I was definitely fired up for sure.
I feel like more than maybe any other sport, like making it to the big leagues is like romanticized in professional sports.
Yeah.
It's in like every movie. It's like, oh yeah, I made it to the show. Like this is it. Is it as good as like you would expect it?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, you got to think about it too. So like NFL guys, they get drafted out of college and they go straight to the NFL. College basketball guys, most of them first, second round guys, they end up going straight to the NBA. Like baseball guys, you can be a first rounder and spend 5-6 years in minor leagues grinding it out. You could be a 16th rounder like me and end up being 6 years in minor leagues and grinding it out and making it. So it's one of those things where it's like you finally get to make a little bit of money. The travel's way better. The food's way better. They like anything that you need, they take care of you. So it's like you put in so much time and you spend so much time away from everybody that you know in order to get to that one point. And it's incredible for sure.
So you talk a lot about the grind in minor league baseball, and I had a chance to cover a bunch of AA baseball. I was in local news in Binghamton, New York with the Binghamton Mets at the time, and like spending time around minor league baseball players, it's like this reality check of like everybody's grinding so hard, and there have to be so many highs and lows. What was the low point like in your minors career where you're like, I don't know, man, like I'm not sure if this is it?
Yeah. So I had a couple. So in 2016, I started the year in AA. I was having a pretty good year there. I ended up making a spot start in AAA. I did pretty well. And then like a week and a half later, I got sent back to high A. So like I bounced all over the place that year. So mind you, it was the California League, so it was like the worst pitchers. Like I was trying to figure some stuff out, and that one was pretty low. And then obviously at the start of 2017, when I was a starter, I was getting my teeth kicked in almost every start, and I was like, man, I'm about to have to go find a real job. Like this is just that. It is what either I figure it out or something's gonna happen, and I gotta find something else. But the high points and the journey and the process. I don't know what this is. We good?
Yeah, we're good.
We're good. All right. Yeah. But we the journey and the process kind of make the low point and the tough parts worth it. Because it gives you that mental reminder that it's like no matter what, no matter how bad things get, as long as I keep working and keep pushing, like I can come out on the next on the.
So walk me through. Now you last December you signed with Japan, and now you're playing international professional baseball. What is the process that you go through? I'm guessing with an agent and some other different contacts that you go through to fighting your way over to Japan.
Yeah, so my agents kind of reach out to me in like end of September, 1st of October, and we're like, are you interested? This is something that we need to start looking at. Like if you're interested in this, let's kind of figure out, get your name out there and put some feelers and see who might be interested in you. So like I would check in with them once every couple of weeks up until the winter meetings is when things started really getting going. They called me and said, hey, we've got this team who's interested. We're kind of going to start negotiating. If this is something that you want, like we're gonna go after it. So I talked with my wife. I was like, hey, this is an opportunity. This is a good chance for us to progress forward. And she was on board with it. So I gave them the green light, and we kind of they proceeded along with the negotiations, and then also it's kind of weird because they had to end up buying my contract out with the Rangers because I had one more year left there. So they had to go through that and get their approval and get me released. So that way I was able to come here.
So in watching and having a chance to call a bunch of the games so far, it's impressive baseball. Like, what's been your impression of the baseball you've been playing and watching and a part of over there?
It's the same game, but it's different. So like here, you've got your guys in your lineup who can do damage. You've got a couple guys who can swing it and hit some homers. But the majority of other guys, whether it's the small ball, the bunt and runs, the hit and runs, the steals, like you don't see nearly as many bunts anywhere else in the world other than here.
True.
You got guys, yeah, exactly. You got guys who their entire approach at the plate is, I know that I can't hit your stuff, so I'm just going to go up there and I'm going to foul it off, and then I'm going to end up making you walk me. So you're going to have guys who have 9, 10, 11 pitch at bats where it's like everything I throw, it doesn't matter. It's in the catcher's mitt and this guy's fouling it off. It's high level, impressive baseball for sure.
When's the last time you saw small ball played like this?
Probably college. I mean, every once in a while you'll get like one or two situations a game in the minors or where a guy's got a sacrifice bunt, but it's not like where a guy leads off the second inning with a double and the next thing you know, the 5-hole guy's bunting into third. It's like in America, you see guy leads off with a double. All right, great. Now everybody's swinging away, going to try to drive this guy in.
It's so crazy because like I wasn't prepared. One of the first games I did, it was like the second or third inning, the leadoff guy gets on, and then immediately it's a bunt. And in like the second and third inning in Major League Baseball, like this guy's not bunting at the plate. Like that's not happening. And you see like 3 and 5 hitters doing that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's impressive. I mean, just the bat to ball skills here are incredible.
So when you look at where your team is at right now, obviously you guys have struggled a bit, a team that was really good last year. Like, what's the feeling in the locker room?
I mean, we still believe we still are going out there and competing. I know some guys aren't necessarily having the years that they had last year or things that they had hoped to achieve this year, but man, we put in the work. We're going out there every day, and you've got guys doing early work hitting, early work fielding, guys throwing bullpens, trying to get everything to click. And I think over the next month or so, we should be able to put some good baseball together. And we've had glimpses of it. I mean, we've had some stretches where we've played great, and then we've had some stretches where we just haven't. And, I mean, that's part of the game too. It's you can be lights out for 20 games, and then you get the next 10 or 15, it's a grind to get anybody out.
How good has it been to have like 50% capacity now back fan-wise?
So the first couple series that we had, there was nobody here. And then I remember the first night that we were allowed to have fans, we were in Chiba, and there were 5,000 people there, and it felt like there were 50. It was like I hadn't seen anybody in the stands all year. There was no noise. You could hear a guy in the dugout chewing bubble gum. But now you're starting to feel the atmosphere again. You've got the instruments and the noisemakers and stuff like that, and it's definitely cool to be a part of.
And it's like a European soccer atmosphere, I feel like. Like, it's unlike anything you see back here in the United States when it comes to baseball fans.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Back in America, you get the people who are going to heckle you and wear you out and stuff like that when you're on the road. Maybe they do that here and I just don't understand, which is I'm fine with. But definitely the noisemakers and the fans are like truly into the game and are locked in, and they live and die with it, with what we do out there.
So you mentioned your family at the beginning, and I did some stalking your Twitter and Instagram account. You've got a beautiful 7-month-old son, which he looks awesome. I mean, how difficult was that decision, knowing you're having a son, and I'm guessing now you're far away in the time zone? Like,
Yeah.
It's 11:30 at night back here. It's like the middle of the afternoon over there. Like, how difficult has that been?
Yeah, so it's been tough. We planned at first for them to come out in March. Like, he was going to be super young, but we were going to try to make it. And our pediatrician told us, you guys should probably wait a little bit. We were fine with that. I agreed with him. And then we rescheduled for them to come in May. And a week before their flight was supposed to come out here, the travel ban got placed. So they weren't able to make it. But my wife's been incredible. She's as soon as I wake up, I call them, which is nighttime for them, so I'm able to like tell them good night and talk to them for a minute before he goes to bed, and then I stay up probably till I get up around like 7:30 every day, and then I go to bed at like, I don't know, probably 12:31, so I'm able to like spend some time talking to them in the morning after the games. But yeah, she's been great. She's been incredible. Our families have helped out, and then she's just kind of helping or doing an amazing job getting him big and strong, for sure.
And I think that's probably sometimes the forgotten part about when you're trying to make your way up through the minors, just like what a toll it probably takes on just the family in general, the number of times you're bouncing around and trying to figure out like what's next.
Yeah, it's so my wife and I got married in 2016, and that year was my first year in AA, and we made the decision to pack all of our stuff up and move to Texas. So I lived in Dallas or Frisco, which is like the suburb of Dallas. I lived there for 2016, 17, and 18. She got a full-time job, and then in the off season, I would wake up I'd work out from like 9 o'clock in the morning till noon, and then I'd go work at a golf course from like 1 until 9 at night. So like we put in the work, and we made the decision to stay there and work with the strength coaches and work with the trainers and the pitching coaches and stuff like that. We've definitely have put all of everything that we can into progressing and doing this as a family, rather than like playing and then being away and then coming back and stuff like that. We just fully invested, and she kind of pushed me along to that point, for sure.
So you're playing AAA baseball, and during the off season, you got a side job?
Oh yeah, I worked at a golf course as like part of the member services team. So like when guys came in off the course, I would like clean their clubs for tips or clean golf carts and pick up all the golf balls on the range. It was cool to be like outside and stuff. Like I enjoyed that part of it, but it was tough work, for sure.
And I'm assuming it probably makes, like, when you get to the big leagues and you're like, this is like, I got this, it just makes it that much better.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
All right. So we'll finish it off with 3 for the road, 3 kind of quick hitter questions, a little all over the place. In stalking your Instagram and Twitter, I see that you're a fan of the Washington football team.
That's
thoughts
right.
on a record for this season?
Ooh, man, I think it'll surprise people. Their defense is way better than people than a lot of people probably give them credit. And I believe in Dwayne Haskins and the offensive unit that they have. I think it's going to take some time. So I'll probably say 8-8 or 9-6.
Hey, that's pretty good. You beat my Eagles in week 1, which is a real killer for me. So
yeah.
you got a good one there.
That's right.
Toughest situation that you've inherited as a reliever?
Ooh, toughest situation I've inherited. I came in with a man on 2nd and 3rd in the 8th inning with 1 out. We were up by 1. I got an inning and 2/3. I think it was 3, 4, 5, 6 that I faced. So, got out of the inning unscathed the first inning. and then went 1, 2, 3 the second.
That's pretty good. Is there, like, other than just like bases loaded and nobody out, is there like a situation you dread the most?
To be honest, for some reason, like whenever it's like a 3-run game, I don't know if it's like I relax or whatever, but like the 1 or 2-run games, I feel like I'm pretty locked in. And then the 3-run games, I'm like, this isn't it. Like, I feel like I'm not as mentally locked in. But other than that, like if it's lopsided one way or the other, if we're up by a lot or down by a lot and you're in that situation, those are tough outs to get for sure.
Yeah, it's just like, it's almost feels like it's like a lost game, but you got to go out and do your job anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, it's tough.
All right. Finally, I've seen a lot of pictures of the mustache. What's going on with the facial hair? You just decided to go all out now?
Yeah, so the mustache was great. Last year I had a mustache at the end of the season, and I was pitching really well. I had a mustache at the beginning of the year. This year I was throwing really well. And then I had a bit of a rough patch, and I was like, man, all right, I'm going to try to change it up, kind of switch up the look. So not only did I change change the facial hair, but I went like full out. I changed my cleats, my glove, my compression shorts that I wear during the game, my undershirt, my socks, everything. I went full out trying to just like wash and trying to flip the switch.
So you're superstitious, I'm guessing.
I wouldn't say I'm superstitious, but like sometimes you just gotta change it up. Sometimes things feel comfortable that you're wearing, and sometimes it's like, all right, maybe I've worn these out. It's time to find something else.
Well, Reed, we appreciate all the time. Good luck here as you continue on over to Japan. Hopefully you get a chance to see your family sometime soon, and hopefully we'll have a chance to catch up with you again sometime down the line. Thanks, man.
Yeah, awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.